you know, when we chatted about this, it started off where you rocked up in New Orleans and you were sat just in front of the president. You were sat in front of Reagan.
It took a number of days to achieve that, but just by pure blag. And, you know, if there's such a thing as a crafty cockney, I suppose I was assuming that role at the time, because I turned up without any accreditation, but equally it was a stopping off point to go into Central America, because I initially was going to go via Mexico, overland through Mexico into Guatemala and then down. And I had a friend in New Orleans and kind of could make it a base. At the time the Republican convention was going on, they, you know, the Republicans were obviously there. They were the kind of architects of a lot of the issues and the problems that were happening in Central America. So again, you know, let's see what they're about. Never imagined I would get into the convention itself, but as I say, I kind of mooched around and I thought I'd take some pictures, you know, I'd get some pictures of delegates and people in the street and the whole fanfare. But I slipped into this one kind of meeting, I thought it was a meeting, and it was a dinner held for Nancy Reagan and the Just Say No campaign, which really was ironic, yeah, really ironic. And Alan McGee actually used one of those pictures for now because he saw the irony too, and that was used on a single for creation. But so yeah, so I've got some pictures, and you know, then picking up bits of paper that maybe kind of help you and verify your, you know, while you're there, something discarded. I mean, it kind of wouldn't happen now. Firstly, because I guess everything's electronic, but secondly, you know, I guess people just wouldn't let it happen. No. And you know, to get that close to the president, I mean, I would have been, you know, I'd be in Guantanamo, wouldn't I? You know?
Yeah, there's no way now you would ever.
No, you wouldn't. Yeah, you know, you've been orange boiler suit, and that's it, on your hands and knees. But I then, I mean, went from that to a press office the next day and said, oh, I was at that dinner with Nancy Reagan last night. Oh, was you? Yeah, so I want to go to this other thing they were talking about, and can I get accredited? Well, you know, kind of just bemusement, but it wasn't high profile, but it was the next step up. And I went to that and then got talking to a photographer and said, oh, see that pass there? You don't need that now, do you? You know, so I started building up this sort of layer of passes. Added to by, you know, a couple of cigarette cards or, you know, an old tube ticket, anything really that you could flash. But in them days, I guess you could flash because there's probably a lot of sort of ex-football fans here or football fans that, you know, were kind of travelling around at that time. And you didn't pay on the trains, you know, you might flash this, but you just moved through. It wasn't electronic. But so it was kind of applying those sort of tactics. And eventually, you know, over a number of days, I got kind of closer and closer and in bigger and bigger venues until I was in the Superdome in New Orleans on the night that Reagan was handing over to George Bush Sr. to become the candidate for president that year. And I was kind of on the floor, and then I saw Reagan was, you know, 70,000 people in there, but I saw Reagan kind of was up there, you know, spotlights, and kind of made my way up there. Oh, where are you going? Oh, no, because I've got to go through there, and oh, no, you know, all that sort of routine. And gradually, and then, oh, no, because I've got to meet someone over there, you know, and then suddenly I was on the next level, and then suddenly, and then I was sitting there, you know, as close as that, you know. And on the end of the row. And I was just, this is a bit mad. So I was like, I was going through my mind, I could actually lean over and punch this bloke, because to be honest, I didn't like him, and I thought, but you know, I would go down, obviously. Yeah. But I sort of leant out at one point, and we had one camera with a sort of a larger lens. I guess, I mean, listen, I took loads of pictures. They didn't move me. I was sat there. I was just like I was part of the party, you know. And but at one point, I suppose I pushed it and leant out, and he saw me, and I guess with the piece of equipment, maybe thought it was something else, and that's where he kind of like that sort of rabbit in the headlights look, and he sort of looked straight at me, And then I'll go, well, yeah, right. Yeah, it's kind of like dip into the shadows again. And then just after that, they called from the stage, and you know, our outgoing president, the wonderful Ronald Reagan, and the rest of it. And up he got, and the spotlight was going on this area, and I was like, fuck. And so they went, and then I went, do you know what? I may as well go with them because I got this far. And I thought I could see myself ending up on stage, you know, like standing there, like.
3 years later, you're in the White House.
Oh, that Zelig thing, you know what I mean? I thought, go for it. So I sort of moved with them, and they were all being clapped, like, hey. And as I sort of go behind, I'll get to the point where they sort of go down the steps, and they go that way, and all of a sudden someone got me around the neck, and I was dragged out, you know, feet didn't even touch the ground. And I was taken sort of into this room by the Secret Service, and they were bemused was one. I've been just astonished as to what I was doing. And then when they started looking at my passes, and it was like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? You know, and I mean, I just pulled this one out of the bag. I went, oh, what is? I'm doing a project for college back home in England, and I wanted to take pictures of the president. I said, you know, president. They said, you know, most famous man in the world. You know, you're president. What do you do, man? How do you get in here? And the mad thing was, and I say, it would never happen now, but they just kicked me out. They just get out, and they didn't take the film. You know.
Man, they were really off the game that day, weren't they?
Yeah,
not taking the film.
No, I mean, you would think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
They were just so bemused, but you know, it just wasn't in the plans, you know. And then I was like, well, if that's the start of the trip, then you know, this might be fun actually, and it did go on like that because you know, further down, I meet you know Daniel Ortega. I end up dancing with his wife. You know, again pulled out and told, you know, that's the president's wife, you can't dance with her. First day in Managua, drank a bottle of rum, you know, and then it goes on, and Noriega, and, you know, a whole scene down there, and having tea with Noriega, and I was like, yeah, this is not a bad trip. So, yeah, actually wasn't as scary as you imagine it was.
I mean, how do you end up having tea with Noriega? You know, I mean, that's mental.
Just blagged it.
Is it blag?
Yeah, of course it's blag. Yeah, I mean... Well, he didn't call me up, did he? Oh, you better have to pop round.
Did he ask you about Reagan?
Do you know what? I chanced upon a little scene in the street, and it is a really bizarre scene. And when I was looking through the sort of rolls of film and on the contact sheet, it's actually a little bit too strange, really. What it was, there was this young girl from the Midwest called Sarah York, and so this district was where I was staying in Panama City, was near the presidential palace. And I came out one day, and there was a big, you know, there's a parade, I'm thinking, and so, something's happened, and all the soldiers were in their finery, and a big press thing, and then over the road was welcome, in Spanish, welcome Sarah York. What's that? So, you know, again, okay, go and investigate what's going on. And this young girl of I don't know, 9, 10, 11, something like that, she had seen Noriega on TV, and she had gone to her mum, why do they keep saying this man's horrible? For some reason, I don't know, she had a crush on Noriega at that age. I mean, that's what you call mental, right? that. But she had said to her mum, you know, why is everyone saying he's such a bad man? And her mum, oddly enough, said, well, why don't you write to him and tell him? Which she did. And it must have been the only letter he ever got like that, because he invited them down. And I basically got in on the back of that. They turned up, and, you know, I learned about this story after, but, you know, it's obviously, they were American, they were foreigners, and me, I guess, not looking local, they must have thought that I just turned up with them. And so the next thing, just sitting in, you know, and he's sitting in his big chair, and tea's going round. But so I was taking pictures, and then, but honestly, he starts manhandling her, right? No, I mean, you kind of a little bit seedy, you know, sort of the hands on her. And she goes like that, and then she faints, and she goes over, and then it's like, and then his face change, all the kind of like, you know, the minions behind him are like, well, we don't want no part of this. And it's just a really weird impasse, and like they take her off, and she's like, this is the most bizarre thing. And then I got out of there, you know, I got my pictures, you know, I've had a cup of tea, and off I went. And And then later on, I was like in the hostel, and it's like on the TV, and I see the TV, and I'm bowling through with Noriega. I went, oh, that's just too much.
Have you looked for it on YouTube? Because it's got to be there somewhere, hasn't it? You on TV with Noriega.
Well, I mean, you know, things do turn up, don't they? Eventually, I guess it will. Yeah, it'd be nice. I mean, the thing with Bowie turned up that, you know, I don't know if you saw, but yeah, just a mad thing. When I was 13, I went to see Bowie, and there I am at the front of the marquee, you know, pulling his leg, like literally, like that. Like, I don't know why. I'm like, it's like Ziggy. He's like, yeah, what are you doing, you pest? Right? And he, at one point, it's really funny. God, talk about, you know, go off on a tangent. But anyway, at one point he drops like a bangle, and all the kids just like go in, like me included, like gannets, go down and like scrambling on the floor, and he's standing on the stage looking at this scene. It's really mad. It's on YouTube.
And you're actually on your...
Yeah, and at the end of the song, I invade the stage, or I go on the stage, but you call it invasion. I was 13, and I've got a claret and blue top on, and I'm like, nothing really changes, does it? You know what I mean? I'm bowling about, you know, in a West Ham top. I mean, come on.